before I let you cover my way here.
Hey, we earned this. We earned this right here.
And I had daughters.
Yeah. See, that's what did it.
Now what do you do? Oh, they don't have a son?
You can have boys either.
Oh, yeah. First one, he knew what he was doing.
I don't even know him.
Worked for the city of Duvall for 30 years.
You're kidding.
He managed the city treatment plant, just retired last November from the city. You didn't know me?
No.
You don't.
So how much older is he as Stacy? Okay, he's probably about.
Well, Michael was born in 67 and she was born in 71.
Okay.
5, 6
So-
years.
Yeah.
Pretty
Depending,
close to when we took away the trip back east.
depending on where the birthdays fall.
Right. Huh. Did not even know that.
I'll be darned. Yeah.
So Todd wrote an article and he talked about his life in service and he started it out with how he became an employee at Eastside January 1st, 2025. But really what Brittany, our author, wants to get to is some of the vintage, like, and you guys might not know this, like when did our volunteer fire department start? Really, I think we'd have to start from your history when you guys became volunteers, because you guys were probably still teenagers,
Yes.
I would imagine.
I think he joined in 1961 and I was in April of
61.
61.
First time I wanted the fire call, what's going on? Well, when old Harvard got a hold of me, he was just across the road, across an alley here where that creek goes under.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we used to start when we were always racing. That's where I tried to pull one over his eyes one time. There was a guy named Gary Specht, and he had a 55 Chevy, and so did he. And so we were at the fire hall over there after meeting, and they was going to go across the valley and see who's the hot one. As soon as they got around the corner, I cranked up the ambulance and ran across half the valley there to go to that wide place that had that trailer or whatever it is. As soon as they went roaring by, the siren went on and the lights lit. I was a jury running.
Do you remember that?
He gets easy. He doesn't stay mad.
Yeah, nobody that I know is still around from prior to
You guys. So I have a couple questions that will lead into answering, so trigger your memory. What first, and I'll start with Mike, what first got you involved with the Duvall Fire Department?
the barber, Jim Hunt.
Yeah,
Remember Jim Hunt? You remember Jim Hunt? Used to be the barber here for years. Your dad knew him. He cut your dad's
he
hair.
came in '54 here.
He
Where was he located? Where was his barber shop?
Well, first,
it was on Main Street where Red Pepper Pizza is now.
yeah,
The restaurant was on one side and he had that little corner in there was the barber shop.
you were right in the window there. You could see what was going on in town.
So,
Then he moved when Dave and Larry, built the new building across the street that's there now.
yeah,
Jim took one of those offices in there, or one of those spaces for his barber shop. But anyway, getting back to your question, he was getting a haircut someday and he kept pestering me, you better come join the fire department. Well, he'd done that 2 or 3 times and then Pete was already in there and I think I may have talked to you or something. Anyway, that's how I wound up.
Trying to run around getting in trouble about in them days.
So I joined, I was still in high school. It was April of 62.
and so,
I was 17 years old and you had to be 18 legally to be in it.
I was gonna say nothing. Good to have you.
you were legal? Are you older than Mike?
Out here.
By a year.
He was probably legal age.
And then,
You know Mike or John Martin too, didn't you?
yes,
I ran around with him a lot. Because we're both in on airplanes.
yes.
You know, I'm one of these places been harassing the house here in my airplane. Parked it over here at Carl's for a while,
Right.
but
So then what were you running before fire? You were hanging out at just as guys in the valley.
Yeah,
As teenagers.
yeah,
yeah,
I'm still going to school.
And then when you became, so you're the second, 1962, who's part of the fire department at that time?
Dave Harder was the chief, of course. Ed Norman, Ole Haig, Mel Winkler. Who else? Pete. The other Norman brother, Perry Norman, Boyd Miles. Remember Leroy Miles used to work for the city years ago. His dad was a fireman at the time. Roland Drum, Buster Drum.
Were these 100% volunteer?
Oh, strictly. Yeah, it was all volunteer back then.
Even Dave Harder's position?
Yes. Yes.
So can you tell me what kind of equipment you remember back then?
We had a 1952 Diamond T
no, I didn't tell about the,
pumper truck and a
we didn't talk about the other.
36 Ford
Oh, we had another better now.
American LaFrance.
There you go.
Yeah, that got phased out not long after I came in the department. That
Yeah,
American LaFrance probably what, 1920 something?
I thought it was 1914, so,
could have been.
and it was kept for years in that white shed there by Emma Anderson's
Yeah.
farm.
And then we had another, what we called a rescue truck. It was a Dodge Chevy van, carried tools and stuff in the back of it, you know.
And fire hall, then was
Yeah,
a block house.
the fire hall then was what City Duvall got, that little building now that used to, I think it was a church at one time, right behind the existing fire hall.
Like the rec center?
Yeah, that was the fire station when we joined.
The button for the alarm was right on the side of the building, so anybody could. It happened.
So is that how you would get a call because you all lived
She's
in?
smelling it out already.
Yeah.
They had fire phones and all the firemen had a phone in their house, and when a call would come in, it would ring in about 8 or 9 different firemen's houses. It was a steady ring. It would just, I eventually had one in my house, and when the fire phone rang, it just steady ring until you picked it up, and you knew it was a fire call when you picked the phone up. So, yeah,
So,
I mean, Dave was chief. He had just got to be chief, I think, when you came in, because Roy Miller was the chief before him.
Harder was chief when I joined.
He was chief, but he'd only been chief about a year. 'Cause I think he became fire chief in 1959 or 60. Roy Miller was fire chief before him. Ole Haig was fire chief. Emmett Manelli was fire chief at one time.
Yeah.
And Grandpa George Anderson was fire chief at one time, back in the 50s before us.
and how would someone become fire chief?
They got elected by the firemen. We have elections once a year.
And so by your peers.
Voted. This is one of the things that stunk, and I just about made up my mind, I'm out of here. As soon as I could prove how many years I was there. I was there 26 years. But it just, I don't know, some of them thought that it was a popularity contest. But it was the popularity people that go out and do all the damn work. They don't stand there and BS, you know, and that's one of the reasons I thought he should have been the damn chief. And every year I said, I don't want the damn thing, and I had it, I think, for 7 or 8 years. I didn't want a damn thing to do with this other guy. I drive a log truck to where I
I was asked a couple of times.
And I had kids in schools, little kids. I wearing 2 hats at my job. I didn't have time to be fire chief.
So,
I was assistant chief for a lot of years.
so you were working for
Fundamental,
Vitamilk in Issaquah. You were commuting to Issaquah,
Seattle.
Seattle.
Yeah, now that, when I first joined, we still had the farm, so I was living on the farm. And I joined in 62 and until 1974, I was still living on the farm when we sold the cows in 74. And then I bought the house in Duvall in 75.
The one you're currently living in.
And that's when I went to Vitamilk. So,
Really?
yeah,
And commuting every day to Seattle.
every day.
And Vitamilk, can you tell me in Seattle where you were commuting?
Right next to Green Light,
So 45th Street exit.
427 Northeast 72nd Street, 70th Street exit on I-5.
So what is there now? Would you imagine?
You got grocery store that, that PCC,
Okay.
I think it's a PCC is there now.
Really?
Yeah, but that had nothing to do with the fire department.
No, so you were commuting to work, you were a dad, and how many
Well, like
years?
he was commuting to Snoqualmie when he worked for Weyerhaeuser every day.
Now, I'd like to be down to Aberdeen there about 4:30, got to go to logs. And you haven't had dinner yet or nothing. So I had to get a cup of coffee someplace, I'll tell you.
Yeah, then we come home from work, and hell, in the middle of the night, the phone might ring, the siren to go off. We could be on a fire call for 2-3 hours during the
Yeah,
night.
and we could have been having a personal conversation with the wife too.
And then get back up at 4 in the morning and go to work.
Listen, I had a fire call last night.
No, that didn't- No,
You have to work every day, no matter what.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Sometimes you got to work late.
So tell me about, what kind of training did you as new volunteers receive in those days?
But there was a lady that taught us first aid. Remember her, Pete?
Yes, of course.
Mrs. Vanderhagen?
I don't remember her name, but she was really nice,
Yeah. There was a lady that taught first aid,
easy to listen to.
came to the station, and then I think we had some in-house fire training,
Well, she introduced us to the dummy or whatever you used to call it,
the one.
the dummy.
Oh, yeah, that was the resuscitation. We learned how to do CPR.
Yeah.
The nannies.
I can only imagine the jokes that you guys probably pulled with,
Oh, yeah. You can imagine. But there was training on how to fight a fire and, hoses to use, and some of that was done in-house. Dave had different guys come in and teach that from different departments. Yeah, yeah.
regular training.
Not, you mean like every week?
Yeah,
Well, there was something went on every week.
Yeah, you had to get out there and have people put their hands on stuff. There was some people that didn't come to every meeting. If they just get their hands in it, they're told to go get another 100 feet of hose, 2.5, like, they should know where it's at, so it makes a difference.
yeah.
Then every now, sometimes you'd hear somebody want to get rid of an old house, well, they'd let us set it on fire. So we could practice putting it out. That happened a few times over the years.
It did.
Do you remember any of those old houses? People volunteered that their house could be put on fire?
I don't, you remember whose houses we did? I remember doing them.
Up on the road to the roundabout going up there.
Yep.
I can't remember what their name was. And we were up there one time for, this girl was, and her sister or brother were messing around and running around this piano. And the girl Mick hit her knee on that piano, and the cat moved her over here. and it hurt just looking at it. But their house burnt down. And we went out, and I'm sure you and I went together, out picking stuff up for the pickup. So,
Yeah, could we see something about the ones we did for Proctor Burns? I remember one that we did was Perry Norman and Iris Norman, where they lived up where the airport used to be.
Yes.
They moved out, and then we wound up burning that house and using it as a, remember that, where Perry Norman lived up there?
yeah,
And I would say where Perry Norman lived is now what we call, between the eighties, we call it the airport.
Yes.
Now we would call it the trailer park. Is that correct?
yeah.
No, not that far up. They live right there. If you go up, I think it's 275th, it runs across the top of the hill, and you take a left to go to the high school,
Yes,
go straight ahead, and it goes, makes an S turn.
yes.
Okay, that's where,
Glen Grove, yeah, and across the street, I think that's where it goes.
were you ever in their house?
Oh, yeah.
No work, Ed.
But there was hardly any other houses up there then, you know?
And so it was just a planned, we're going to
Yeah.
put this house on fire.
Yeah, it was planned. We set the fire. It was a planned drill. Guys that put their Scott air packs on and go in the house, you know, with the hose and knock the fire down. I think we set it again just so they could practice doing that.
So was there ever a concern about, oh gosh, there's some white paint, this on the fire, we got some black smoke.
Not in those days. We had breathing apparatus to wear. But
I got a whole story to tell about house burning. We had a joint with Carnation. And who's the guy that married the funk girl?
who?
Jan Funk, her husband. Yeah, and he wasn't a funk. Yeah. Dave Benton and I, this was a two-story house. And you come in the front door, and the steps went right up like this, and it was level. At the end of the hall, and then there was a big window. And there was a bedroom over here and a bedroom over there, and about all I remember about it. But him and they were the only ones up there, and Carnation Fire Department was down around on the bottom. And Dave was a big fellow, so I wasn't as big as him, so I was back under the eaves, flattening this stuff and getting her going. And all of a sudden, here comes Dave, and he says, "We got to get the blankety blank out of here." He says, "Some bastard set the stairs on fire." Sure enough, there was flames going by the door and in the bedroom, and you look out the end over the valley. There was a cement slab down there, about 3 stories down. Would have been a nasty slab. But anyway, we finally took turns sneaking out of there as fast as we could and headed for that window. And it came up to the window, and we both got our faces out of that thing and finally hung on as long as we could, holler for a ladder. And of course, nobody was paying much attention to us. And we finally got out of there and slid down and walked into the flower bed. Nothing, just a few bruises and all, but had a word with the Carnation fireman after that.
So was that a planned fire practice? Or was that
No, it wasn't.
it was an
You were
accident?
supposed to be safe. It all, I don't remember if I was assistant chief then or what, but safety's number one.
Yeah. We're talking about Joanne Beck.
Yeah.
Joanne was from,
Yes,
and you see her.
Dave.
Yeah.
She was my piano teacher, I think, when I was.
She just passed away.
I heard she was very ill. Bobby passed away.
Yeah.
And that Joanne was very ill, but I don't know that she's passed.
No, she hasn't. She's doing better now. Dave passed away about 2 years ago.
Okay.
I just was my sister Darlene keeps in touch with her quite a bit, and Larry just talked to her here about a month ago. And I've had a couple of text messages with her recently, so she's doing okay. It,
Heart problems,
mhm.
heart problems.
No, she's doing all right. I don't know what, but
He was a little bit heavy, I believe.
yeah, a Bob just passed away here 3 or 4 months ago. That hit her pretty hard. But her kids are all back there with her, you know, and their grandkids, so.
That's the closest I learned for me. I told my dad, in November 2019, that his sister had passed away. Right? You know, right? And I think that changed my dad too. You know, lessons that don't ever tell us to be.
This is not related to the farm, but we were just
Yeah.
talking on the way down. Your brother Mike, is he still with us?
No, he
He
passed away 15 years ago.
that's what he thought. He,
Long time.
oh, Agent Orange.
Yes,
He died.
yes. It was not pretty.
I remember him from years and years ago.
Yeah, he's on your age.
I think he's Pizza. He
He was
was
your age.
Yeah,
I'm 82.
yes, he was your age.
Maybe you can figure something else out for me too. I've always remembered that your grandfather was the first one to be in an airplane to land in Duvall
And crap,
when he was in the army.
that's what I heard, and crap.
No, it was just a rough landing. You know, and then when you're landing and if you bounce for a couple times, then you put 3 landings in your logbook.
You're kidding, no, that's true though, right? Yes. I kind of hijacked that airplane. So, move on to, what is the most memorable fire you responded to in Duvall or our surrounding area?
On a fire, not a first aid. Uh,
yeah, the most memorable fire. I don't remember. I was working the day Duvall Motors caught fire.
I was out of town too, and the thing was still watered, or I mean, Melody
Um,
and what's his name's bar next door.
gosh, I don't know, Lynn. There's been a few of them, quite a few of them over the years.
So that's an interesting point. I mean, that was having emails for Duvall Auto, the fire there.
Well,
I remember one, and you might remember it now. Carnation had a fire up there, and it's right past the road that goes to the Carnation Farms. There's a shed along in there.
oh, yes, yeah,
And then we were throwing bales of hay down.
yeah, it was
Uh,
that Quonset hut that's where George Magnolia used to farm just before you get the car. That was full of hay years ago, and they had a hay fire inside there. And we had that all the time, fitting it
There
up.
was a guy in there that was mean, shall I say, but he was, and this, our fireman hollered up, don't throw him down so hard, you know, trying to get him to slow up because they was hitting him in the head. And every other place should, but I've never been a tough guy, so I couldn't handle him. Should have sent Mike up. He wasn't as big then either, though.
And he was trying to fire.
He wasn't a fireman at all. He was just there.
There,
And Fade Ansel was one of our firemen. He was an elderly guy at the time. He was in there and was, like Pete said, he was doing bales down and Fade said,
so I'm gonna do something to that.
so he just went down the hall and smacked him one.
Well, you know, things back then.
Got a gash in his head, you know, Fade did not, the other punk that shouldn't have been there wasn't in there. Yeah. But the Duvall Motors happened in the middle of the day. Well, a lot of the volunteers are out of town working. So I wasn't there. That would have been one that I would have said had I been here. I got there after it was knocked down.
Well, that's kind of key piece. I mean, you're two important firemen who are out of town, volunteers.
My memory says that we had, I don't know how many guys we had hired here at that time, or he's the first or second, whatever. But he'd go right past the hydrant, down to the fire. And they had it all knocked down at one time. I was working too, I wasn't there.
Right.
but you're supposed to stop the first hydrant that you can reach to get to the fire. Wrap it around, they stand on there until you get to the fire, then hook it up and wait for the guy to signal to turn it on. But they didn't do it there, if I remember. Is that right?
I heard that, yeah.
Yeah.
But it was only half a block back to the hydrant, if that even. He was parked in the middle. There's a picture. I think I have it at home still of our fire truck sitting in the street and that fire blazing. And it happened to be that fire truck.
Oh, you're kidding.
Whose was it? Is that yours?
That one there?
Yeah.
That's our old international.
Well, I know this, but I mean, we had 3 trucks in there, and we all had different trucks coming out here.
Yeah, I don't know. This was our main pumper at that time.
Oh, that was the older one. That wasn't the one we got on when we went back to get.
Oh, no, this one we bought brand new in 1963.
Yeah, that was,
Brand new. Emmett Mannalia sold us the chassis, and
yeah,
Frank Van Hollen, his wife, drove back to Kentucky and drove that thing out here. And then some other guys took it down to Oregon where they built all the fire apparatus on it. So we had this for a lot of years in the fire service. Well, then after I got out of the department in 92, this thing became surplus. They were getting newer trucks at the time, you know.
that's when he quit. I was wondering when he quit.
Yeah, so then they, Ed Norman had moved over to Prescott, which is outside of Walla Walla, a little place, and they needed a fire truck over there. So he got a hold of the commissioners here, and they wound up selling this truck to that little fire department over there. And then we lost track of it for years. It was over there, and then it wasn't there, and nobody knew whatever happened to this truck. And some of us would talk about it down at the coffee shop. And I'll be damned, about 5 months ago, I'm going looking at stuff on Facebook, on Marketplace, and there's this truck. And
You're kidding.
I sent the picture to Todd. I says, could it be? Was this our old truck? He said, sure, looks like it. So I called the lady. This is 4 or 5 months ago now. So I called the lady up, lived up on Tomato Island. So ask me about the truck you have. Where'd you get it at? Well, we got it from a guy over in Prescott. And asked her a couple, 3 more questions. And I says, I knew it was our old truck. And she had it for sale. So they had bought it 18 years ago up on Camino. They own a real estate, her and her husband. They use it for parades and taking people around. And they had Windermere sign on the back of it. And they're going to sell it. And I just, $2,500. You can drive it home. Man, I got a hold of John. I got a Mike Terry, and I don't know if I called you or not. Rick DeFries. I says, "Can you believe this? I'll buy that damn thing." But what are we going to do with it? So the lady had a couple offers, and she held off for 3 days until I told her yay or nay. After I told her the story that we bought it new, I was going to buy it. I had the cash in the safe. I was going to go get it, and then I kept thinking, what am I going to do? Where am I going to keep it? Can I keep it at my house? I tried to talk Rick into buying it because he was interested. He's got a place to keep Rick DeFries.
Yeah.
So that's right. 3 days and nights I stewed on this, and I think, what am I going to do with it? So I finally told her to go ahead and sell it. But you know, they've been up. It's nostalgia. But then you'd have to keep it up and maintain it, and I don't have any place at my house. Man, I wanted that. That first day, I damn near went up there and bought it. But that's Duvall's brand new fire District 45 in 1963 until, I'll bet you, 15. Oh God, it went for quite a few years. That was our main pumper.
Okay, this ever happened to get in your lifetime, you reach out to me. I'm not kidding.
Yeah,
Because those are the things that are important to our historical. We could have stored it in the barn, or we could,
I never even thought about it. And the guy said, yeah, we just run it through the parade, Duvall Days parade or something, you know, and yada, yada. And, yeah, but it's still, if guy bought it, he still lives up there. I've got his name and number and everything.
let's talk to them.
Oh,
I'm gonna
he
take-
bought it from these people.
Yes,
And he's gonna fix it up and run it through parades and stuff, I guess. But she sent me his info. I had never talked to him since he bought it.
does it have anything Duvall on it?
No. If you look inside, she showed me a picture inside the dashboard and then it had the red tag on the dash where it said, engine 45. That was still on the dashboard that we had put there. And one other thing, the colors are about the same. That was our colors, but it would have said Duvall instead of Prescott.
Yeah. That's incredible.
Yeah.
And it's running,
Oh, yeah, we could have drove it home.
and it's a contract.
Yes, but the pump they said wasn't working on it. They said the pump quit working on it. Well, those pumps are pretty simple. Just push the handle over, you know, and it run off the front of the engine. Remember that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
very simple.
Martin American fire pump on there.
We had a couple of dum-dums fire department, they could do it.
So, yeah, I mean, I was, God, when I seen that, I couldn't believe what I was looking at.
That's incredible.
How many times we went down the road, that thing with a siren and the red light, a flashing and a going? Many times.
Even the old 46,
Yeah, 36, yeah.
36.
What's the old 36?
We had a 36 Ford fire truck, flathead V8 in it.
You remember the story? On that 36,
And what's one?
the 36.
Yeah, what's
What's the word?
Well, we bought it over in Bury,
yeah,
and somehow or other it never ended up getting paid.
I think Mr. Colby told me about that. You guys had that, I think you got that just before I joined the department.
That was there when I came.
Oh, it was.
Yeah,
Okay.
So we didn't get paid for it. Did you have it?
I don't remember what it was. I think what was it? Was it $850 or something?
I was involved in that.
It wasn't no big deal, but yeah, something that old. Why would they buy that old?
$850 back in the 60s was,
Yeah, what a scratch.
So
so anyway,
how about this? Were there any major fires that changed the way the department operated afterwards? That they took funnel and made them do something different?
no, not that I can think of. I don't think so.
We never had anybody get hurt that bad.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
You know, they put the sewer treatment plant in town in 1976. It went in. So before that, there wasn't much building going on. You know, buildings were pretty much the same. But once they put that treatment plant, then you see the houses they got now, these big 2-story yada yada. Well, they require a different truck than what this is. And, yeah, I don't remember anything that really caused us to make any drastic changes in what we do. I mean, you know, more training, probably.
well, we changed it away for one fire. Looking over towards High Rock, there was a house on fire up there.
Let's tell what that means for the normal listener. High Rock means closer to the road.
No. You just go down past Mick Anderson's place,
Okay.
Down Highway 202.
up over the hump kinda, round out the first road that goes up the hill.
Okay, Lake Fontel Road. It's Cherry Gardens Road now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cherry,
Sorry about it. You would say that.
yes.
Okay.
Anyway, I think it was Ron Judd, knew this guy that owned the airport up here. And so he talked to him and he volunteered to take him up and frame end my airplane. So that's the way that one went. Remember that?
No,
You don't remember that? Oh, I was thinking that lucky bum.
What do you like airplanes? Just a little bit.
I always wanted to be a pilot. I owned my own airplane. I've had for 22, 23 years or something. I don't know. But it's for sale. The FAA's, what did they do? They took my license away. Not my license, they took my insurance away. And told me, the insurance company had told me that in order to have that insurance, I have to have a physical every year. And it was every 5 years. And I haven't had any problems for, oh, 2003.
And still, they're requiring it.
Yeah. And then they raised my insurance another couple $100. Plus it's $263 a month with the hangar down there.
And so,
I'm thinking, yeah, I'm thinking that maybe I'll get one of Rick's trailers and trucks and something and haul that baby home, put it in the garage and open the door so people can smile.
like that whole, fire truck.
You know, I had a Harley before I ever had a car.
You do?
Oh boy. I took his future wife out on it. Right there, wiped both of us out. Well, this dam over where Pink Marty lives, we were gonna go around the valley and it had been full of big chuck holes like this. And they'd filled it with blacktop. And it'd been so long since they did it that it all was compact down. So they're all smooth bottom. And I was ripping along like a smart ass and all of a sudden front wheel went up right up there.
With the ribbon on your back.
Yeah. And I think I gave her my leather jacket and I kept my hard hat. And we hit this post school bus stop sign. And hit that. I know something twanged me in the head. And then that's about the last thing I remember till she was screaming at me, "You all right? You all right?" That's what they always say. "Are you all right?" Knocked me cold in the mackerel and finally woke up and we went up to his place. Larry was there, got the old green pickup and brought her back home.
Larry, who's my brother.
Yeah. But Marilyn, that poor girl, she went away looking like a raccoon, if you know what I mean.
Yes, black eyes.
Yeah.
Black eyes.
I took it, if I remember right, well, it hit the back of my helmet, you know, or nose. Yeah.
You look like they're about.
So one thing that when I had asked was what was the best fire that you guys can recall, and you had mentioned carnation. But then you had said that repeat. What was the best first vehicle, or maybe best is
Oh, well,
memory?
might not want to talk about it, but one agent sitting out on the first call was down at Carnation. And it was, and then he stuck you in the back of the aid wagon, if I remember right, with a guy that had his windshield wrapped around him yet. Was that who it was? That's down where the river comes into the road on the other side of Carnation.
You know what about it?
I think it was a pickle. That was the first time you got stuck with it by yourself with a dead guy in the back of the meat wagon.
Oh, I don't. Could be, I don't know. But the one that sticks in my mind,
You weren't too happy about it.
I remember that.
we saved the guy's life. He's still alive today.
Really?
Yeah, and Nancy Nina, you know Nancy Nina,
Yes.
the guy he was married to when they lived up here in Rio Vista, can't remember his name.
But I know you're.
But I was on fire call up there that day and had heart issues, and I was up there, was an EMT at that time, and we had the scanner hooked up to him. And all at once he went flat. So we got him on the floor and we did CPR until the medic unit got there. And then the medic unit shocked him and they brought him back, and 2 times they had to do it. And he's still alive today. And when my house burnt down, my niece set up a GoFundMe page that I had no knowledge of her doing, and he put a message on it. So you probably don't remember me, but you helped save my life back in this certain day. Then I remembered him when he did that. Can't remember his name, but that was Nancy Nino's husband at the time.
Was that the guy that you guys brought back? And then he says, I'm still with him, man, boys.
Yeah, it could be.
One of them guys.
It could be.
I wasn't on that call.
And we had another one. We saved a kid up there by where Larry DeMoore is living now, at the intersection of Big Rock and Odell Road. What the hell happened to that kid? Accidental gunshot or something? But we saved him. No, I can't remember if it was gunshot or what it was. But right at the intersection of Lake Joy and Big Rock Road, a kid that lived in the house there, I've got the letter of accommodation from.
That wasn't the kid that got the 30-06 in the testicles, was it?
Well, I thought there was a gunshot involved somewhere, bleeding femoral artery, if I remember right.
Somebody put pressure on it all the way to the hospital.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did. Me and I can't remember who else was in the. Huh?
That guy went to work for warehouse.
Oh, did he?
I don't remember his name though.
So we got to Evergreen and he was saved. And then Dr. Wilcox at the time, I've got the letter of home still, and they sent me a letter that you were involved in saving this young man's life and yada, yada, yada. So yeah, those things kind of remember, you know.
Yeah. You know what's interesting though, knowing your history and thinking about, you guys were rescuing people, you were putting out fires, and let's talk about your bride who shot herself
Accidentally.
But I remember. Could you talk a little bit about that?
I don't care. One of the fireman's wives was sweeping up all the blood when I came home. John Knight's wife was mopping up the floor. That helped a lot.
It was in her leg. Didn't she drop?
I think the bullet was sticking out of the.
It was, if I was there, I think she showed it to me. I think it went in just above her knee.
Looking at my wife's pants.
Barely under the skin. It went just barely under the skin, and it went some 6-8 inches up into the thigh, and then it stopped there.
What size bullet?
22.
It was a 22.
Yeah.
Incredible.
It was. I had a. Wayne Pierce.
I do not recognize that name.
Well, he stopped by the house one day and he had this old-fashioned 22 with a barrel about so long on it, and he had a holster, a double holster for it too, $25. So I bought it, but still had it.
She was lucky.
Oh yeah.
I think she said she dropped it on the floor and it went off.
I had it way up the shelf in the back, where I didn't think anybody knew. But
It could have just went anywhere.
So basically, she was reaching out to the closet, getting something, and they got it back there.
And my 5-year-old daughter was right down there by her foot. There's stuff like that we had. He had one about 5 years. It's the same as we did. And
I was there. Ted Ritter was there. Randy Miller was there.
That seems to me like when we talk about your house 4 years ago.
November of 21. So yeah, 4 years ago.
Tell me how the response about your house catching fire?
Well, it was about 11 o'clock at night, and I had gotten up to go to the bathroom, and I thought, man, I could smell like electrical burning, but Marilyn always has a heating pad for her back, and I thought it was that darn thing, and I went over to see if it was okay, and it was, so I went back and laid down. I could smell electrical, and pretty soon somebody was just a banging on the front door, and I had got up and walked down the hall to the back door and looked across the street. The whole neighborhood was lit up. So the fire was in the attic of our house, and it didn't set the smoke alarms off because nothing was burning down below and there was no smoke down below, but it was all in the attic. So I went back in the house, got dressed, woke her up, says, we got to get out of here, the house is on fire. So she ran, I pulled my pants on, and we went down the hall, grabbed the dog, and we went outside. And this is what we turned back and looked at when we went outside.
Wow.
The whole attic was burning, but nothing was burning down below. So that's why the smoke alarm stuff didn't go off.
Oh,
So
that gives us a shake stand at that.
11 o'clock at night, about a week and a half before Thanksgiving. So then the neighbors told the fire department, they showed up. They called Woodinville for assistance. They brought a big truck over, hooked onto the hydrant in the corner of the street there, and they had, I don't know what Todd said, they run about 1,000 gallons of water per minute through that big pump, and they just flooded the whole house, and they finally got it out. Yeah.
It was just old wires.
It was electrical, and they never could. An inspector came out and crawled all through the attic afterwards, and he could see where it started. But it was, yeah, probably some old wires up there or something, you know.
And how did the community?
Say that. But anyway, and not blaming him, but it was just an electrical accident. Yeah. So anyway,
So you, a day prior.
Yes.
He lived in that prior to you. And you bought it in 75.
so they built it. We moved in right after it was built.
Really?
Yeah.
He was building houses.
Yeah, Dave started building houses around town.
I had the first one.
Yeah, the first one, mine was the 33rd house that he had built. He started, you didn't know that.
No.
Yeah, it was kind of part of his retirement plan. He was building houses around town. And then he would sell them to people for a low down payment. You know, he made it easy for you to get into one, and he would carry the contract. So it made it easy for a person to buy a house from him, you know, but he charged 10% interest.
For me. Well, with all this money wouldn't sign for me.
It wasn't selling for me either. I did it on my own.
Bet you.
So anyway, I mean, but he made it easier for people to buy a house.
Okay, so that means he owned a lot of plots in town.
Well, yeah, well, he would buy these lots as he went along. Lots to come up for sale, and like the lots in my house, he paid $500 a piece for them. Now they're what, $10,000-$12,000 a piece?
So I sold that upper property of mine for, there's another Dave ordered, I was down to his house having a beer. He says, you're gonna have neighbors here pretty quick. I started whining a little bit. Well, if you've got $4,800, that lot behind you on Monday, the time is still down in the office. So I bought it on Monday. The good old Dave, that's the only reason it was 450,000, I think I had to calculate.
You drive around too, well,
This one across from my folks' place, that field on the upper side there, where I got 650,000 for that one. You know, I was a millionaire for a while.
Yeah.
If you look at my house and then the way the design is, look at the, sitting around town, they're all real similar. He maybe just flopped them over or something, but he used the basic design on all those houses that he built. And so,
This isn't fire, but it's so interesting. So was he a general contractor or?
he only had a store.
Yeah, but did he do the work or did
He hired the builders to build it. Like Don Creasy built my house.
Oh, yeah, oh, that was a good
Yeah, I think Herb, his brother, did a couple, maybe here and there. I don't know who built yours.
one. Dornberg,
Oh, Howard Dornberg.
Howard Dornberg.
But he hired different builders to build these houses. And he had a hardware store at the same time, see? God, I thought you would have known that.
No, before my time. I was born in 73.
Oh, okay.
So
So Rebecca, you'll know you're smarty. I'll never forget that laugh. My dad had a couple of jokes for it.
that's what I need to hear those.
You know, it's a good thing, I think, the way we did it with the siren there, you know, and buttons on the door. We could open the door and down in the fire hall by pushing a button on the phone. And so it'd be all ready when we got down there. But it always, all the firemen that didn't heard it or somebody, Diane used to call us early when, in earlier days when I joined. It's like she called on the phone. And you can't hardly have enough people around. You never know what's gonna happen. Maybe there's a car tipped over that needs to be put up to get off somebody. And it happened too many times up the valley, the people I know. But one time, remember where those two big white barns were over towards
Yes,
almost Bloodstein or something.
yes.
And got a call down there one time that a kid got shot through the face with a shotgun. And him and a friend were walking out on this road, I guess, across the field, and the one gun went off and went right here, blew the whole inside of his mouth, if I remember right, wasn't it? Did you see that? And me and John Light went up there to take a look at the situation. We got up there and they had him covered. It was in October. It was cold. And we pulled up the tarp off him for a minute to see what the damages were. And holy cow, you could see the steam coming off. He was breathing. And he was covered up, you know. So I really gotta end up being a believer that just because you're curious as to what is wrong with the guy and how bad did he get it or whatever, why sometimes people are breathing so little that you can't hardly tell they're alive. There was no doubt in our mind that he was alive. And then that darn harder, he had me go up there to tell the parents about it. That is not fun. You ever get done with it? You didn't get stuck in that one.
So he eventually passed.
He came up and said hello to us, you betcha. But his whole top of his inside of his mouth was, it was a mess. I don't think he did any kissing for a while.
I think I
You should make up for
in high school, I don't know if it was just a kid, they wore a patch on his eye.
Yeah.
I don't remember the name though.
Oh, I've been on it.
Oh, they lived out there, past the community club in Cherry Gardens.
Yeah,
Take a left towards Lake Margaret,
yes,
then you got that switchback,
yes.
go back in that switchback, back in there. That's up to
I don't-
many people.
I haven't done gun shop ones over the years, but any stuff you're talking about.
Yeah.
So. Where we at?
On the gun shop, I do have a question, because remember Ernie Schaefer, Ernie Captain Schaefer?
Yes,
And I remember a rumor that his brother was shot dead.
Oscar.
Yes.
Bill down here, right back where Mick Anderson lived.
Can you close the rumor on that? Do you remember the story behind that?
yep,
Wasn't it Uncle Ernie that shot him?
no. It was Hal High's stepfather,
Al Sandwich.
Al Sandwich.
And he thought Ernie was or Oscar was a deer.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah,
and
Al said, you're right.
who used to have hardware store downtown?
Jack Frommer.
And he put the fire department over it because he had to spend the night out there waiting for the police to come and get the carcass.
We were waiting for the fire department to come get Oscar.
Well, we weren't gonna take him anywhere. I think they just left it. It was when you get the murder, I mean, actions like that, you gotta have all the evidence. You don't move anything.
Yeah,
As long as you're positive the guy is gone.
right. Interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was Uncle Ernie or if it was somebody else.
Ernie was your uncle?
Well, I told him that he was my godfather.
I'll be damned.
Yeah. And Kathleen was my sister's godmother.
Yeah.
Because
We used to come around our house on the farm when I was a kid, and my grandpa, they make wine, and him and Unc there and them guys would be coming over there on Sundays.
did you ever get to go to their place over there on the hillside and watch wrestling? Okay. So as I understand it, that they really fostered a lot of valley kids. For example, my dad, because grandpa was always gone. So my dad spent a lot of time with Ernie and Kathleen as parental units.
Yeah, Ernie and Kathleen were good friends with Red and Myrna Joyce. They were always partying.
Yes.
And my uncle,
And your uncle? Who's your uncle?
that's what we called him. We called him uncle anyway.
Yes.
Duke, Duke there.
Uncle Duke.
Okay.
The kids called him Uncle Duke.
Yeah.
Boy, when he passed away, boy, there was some real crying around there.
I would imagine.
My grandfather had a big cider press, 2 barrels under it, and he made apple cider. My grandfather, when he lived on the farm over here,
Yeah.
when I was a kid, he had his big cider press. It make. I gotta call you back. I gotta call you back. So it makes cider every year in the basement, but they let it get hard, Well, then he had it for a lot of years. And then the cider press disappeared. And somehow Ernie Schaefer wound up with it when he lived in Carnation. So quite a few years ago, my dad was looking for that press and he found it. I don't know how Ernie wound up with it, but Ernie had called him up. Hey, I got your dad's cider press. You should come and get it. So he got me and we went up and got it. My grandpa's cider press. Well, it sat in the basement of the house over here for a long time. And finally, my dad says, to me one day, I'm going to use that press anymore. It says, it's yours. I'm giving it to you. And I still have it to this day. We made cider with it over there probably 8, 9, 10 years ago now. So I still got it. And I was looking at the struggle study when they had the deal and the guy made the cider. And I thought, I got a cider press listed from the old days. It's like you've never seen. It still works. It's still in good shape.
No, I remember as a little girl making cider at Uncle Ernie's in Carnation.
Yeah,
So that's
probably on that press, man.
yes.
Yeah.
So here's another folklore is that it was prohibition that your grandpa was making cider, and that when the authority and he would make it and store it in a tub. Bathtub?
I don't.
Bathtub gin?
Maybe I don't know.
So as it that the authorities came during prohibition, and it was your grandfather or someone knocked on the door, the authorities say, your grandfather just swished the wine around in the bathtub and said, "Can't come in, gentlemen. I'm in the tub."
Should have been.
And so
I mean, your dad knew of those things. He knew.
he knew. It never got in trouble.
Yeah.
Okay. So what was the relationship like between the fire department and the town of Duvall?
So it was always good. As far as
It was good.
yeah. Yeah.
Did you ever have let's talk about pancake breakfast.
Started in the Grange Hall. And I think you guys had it a year before I joined the department, so that would have been in
It was the first, yeah, first.
1961 would have been the first one.
Yeah.
And they did it in the Grange Hall.
We talk about the Grange restaurant today.
Yeah.
I used to be a Granger.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, a junior Granger. Yeah.
So then when they built the new station was finished in 64, 63. Then we started having the pancake breakfast at the new fire hall.
And you're talking about the one where the fire hall is today.
Yes, now, but
Yes,
the original one that
yes.
everybody built, all the guys in the valley that built it.
That's a community thing.
So
All the guys came together, the farmers, the lumbers.
Jim Rutzensender and me, my dad, we would haul the concrete blocks out. It was a block building. We'd haul the concrete blocks out there. Chris Luchas was
Bricklayer.
brick mason. Chris Luchas and Gary Gibbs and somebody else laid all the blocks for that fire station. Roy Miller did the trusses and the roof, built the hose tower. Roy and a couple of guys that worked with him. Mel Winkler had a machine. He did kind of the dirt work down there, and he accidentally hit the wall down in the lower bay that one time. The wall the guy just put up and knocked it out about a foot and a half. They had to redo it, but it was all volunteer labor. Other than
That was Chris Lucas's.
Chris Luchas.
His wall.
Yeah, until it came, I think, to the plumbing and the electrical, then they had to have licensed people do that, But
We need to say that again, that all the valley guys volunteered.
Yeah.
To build.
and the
And
firemen,
the firemen.
Come down and go to work after work.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Chris Luchas wasn't a fireman, but he did
He was a commissioner.
that's right, he was a commissioner back then. And I don't know if he was working for King County at the time or, he worked for King County for a lot of years. But he also was a bricklayer. But yeah, him and Gary Gibbs, they laid all the blocks that built that building.
You said Gary Gibbs, I think of Mr. Gibbs, the teacher for Tulsa High School.
No.
Different.
Dean Gibbs
Okay.
was married to Lois, Wayne Miller's sister, Glenn Miller's sister. Harry Miller's daughter, Lois, married Dean Gibbs.
Okay.
They lived right
Duke was his uncle.
right across the street from his fields. I said, the Gibbses lived across the street from your folks' house.
Yeah. He came over and helped do some of the cement work on the garage there.
Yeah.
Helped my dad.
But then the firemen all, they'd pack blocks up for the guys to lay it. It was all volunteer. All the firemen come down there after work or on the weekends.
Did you even think about it? You weren't thinking like, oh God.
You know what it cost?
I forget.
$30,000.
Is that what it was?
30,000 is what I remember.
To put that building?
You're supposed to be here to back me up.
Because it was all volunteer labor, Oh, didn't give it a second thought. It was fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now you can't do it.
Everybody volunteered their time. It was fun. The women would come down, bring lunch, and
We was all having fun, yeah.
you don't see that anymore.
No, you do not.
But
Well, I will say, I have that, but I'm a generational, and work is fun to me. And there are a couple of
What's the name again? That's the one.
Right.
I like to take that.
Yes,
Smells so good too.
please.
I remember hauling, the 2x6 that we built the hose tower, they were 32 feet long. I remember hauling those out of Seattle for Roy Miller, so they could build the hose tower.
Wow.
On the back. Behind the hall, there was a tower that went up, it's probably about 5 foot square, and it went up in the silo. Yeah, like a silo, and it went up in the air 35 feet. Well, the fire hoses, after you come back from a fire, you had to hang them so they would dry. So we had pulleys in the ceiling of this thing and bars that came down, and you would put a hose over the bar and turn the crank and it would pull it up. So the water would drain out of the hoses and they would dry because they were cotton lined hoses. Is that right, Pete?
Yep.
And they had to dry out or else they would rot and mildew.
Yep.
Concrete drain in the floor. So every time we come back from a fire, we'd have to hang those wet hoses and put dry ones on the truck.
You don't have to do that now.
Now they got newer stuff nowadays that the water doesn't affect the hose if you don't drain them. Oh yeah, it was just part of the game. You didn't give it a second thought.
No, it was just part of the tour.
Yeah.
So I also remember, I grew up, my best friend was, her name was Dorothy McBee, and Stella McBee lived in the house that was right next to the fire station. Do you remember anything about that house, or?
Now, it was kind of a long single, it wasn't a double.
It was a two-story house.
That's the one that Buster used to live in.
Across the street.
Yeah.
No, it was right next to it. It was just north of the original fire.
Right down. It was,
Right next to it, just north of it.
okay, that was Reverend Judd owned that. Lloyd Judd bought that house years later, I think.
Yeah.
And then the fire district bought it. Because when they were planning on future expansion, they bought that house and they rented it out. Michael, my kid, and some of his friends lived in there. They rented it for a while when he was a fireman.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I did it probably 1977 to 1985.
Okay.
So I'm assuming you did it probably,
Yeah, because he didn't get out of high school till 85.
okay.
And then the fire district bought it when I think Lloyd Judd had owned it and then he sold it to him because they were talking about expansion of the fire.
Do you think that was one of the houses that they planned to burn?
I don't think so. I think that was too close to other structures around there to burn it, I think. I'm not sure, but I wouldn't think so.
They probably just demoed it, so they
I-
planted.
Yeah, I would assume so.
Let me look into another, where were there other fundraisers or dances that the fire department would do? In addition to the pancake breakfast, how would you raise funds?
Oh, it's like this. We take turns on the phone, and our favorite place was down the river road, because the Dutchman gave us so much money and help during the years, and they always given a good donation. But we bought, I don't know how many Cadillac ambulances that went through with the
Yeah, in the early days, if we needed a piece of equipment to put the word out, would you like to donate? And they'd have us get on the phone and call people up and would you like to pledge them on the money? Well, it's kind of uncomfortable doing that, But people donated and people would just donate randomly through the year.
You shut that thing off
No, it's still on. Oh, you want me to set it up?
for a second. I'll tell you one of them things when we were, I think you probably remember the incident.
Yeah, people would just donate randomly, to the department. That was, I mean, the pancake breakfast was the only big fundraiser that we really did. We didn't have dances or
And
nothing.
they were generous. People were generous.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna wrap this up. And the question is, and and I'll start with Mike. Looking back, what made you proudest of your years of service?
Being able to help serve the people of the community and be able to help them when they needed help. Because that's what I like to do. Pretty much. That's why I joined it.
We were all friends. And we like to see our friends, and we know who
But
was
you
going
know-
to help us.
You know, when back then the population was 1,000, 1,500, and nowadays it's a whole different generation, and it was just different then in the community.
We were all related or we were all friends.
Yeah, and everybody helped everybody else, and especially with the fire department, like I said, it was being able to go out and help people in their time of need.
I mean, for me, Pete, you were there when my grandmother passed away, and you and Mike agreed and you looked at each other, and I know you're not supposed to leave bodies.
No.
And you said, you know what, we're going to respect her and we're gonna put her on the couch. And I still remember that story because my father and my grandfather, that's what they appreciated the most, was the respect that we had for each other.
Because none of us had to be there. It was all volunteer.
Yeah.
Nobody was paid to be there. We did it because we wanted to do it.
And service work isn't convenient. You gotta be out of your way in order to do what you did.
Yeah, there was more than one Christmas Eve or Christmas Day where the siren would go off and we dropped whatever we were doing and go, but that's what you did.
You didn't even think about
I
it.
didn't even think about it.
You know, one night, I used to park out in front of the house, right, so I'd have a watch on the highway. And they said that the road has got a lot of rocks on it between Duvall and some other place, south. Well, I got in the car and took off, and I was gliding on top of rocks about that big around. Bent my steering all to hell. Remember that? Yeah, I don't know who did it or what, but
Wow. Any final words? Thank you.
do you know Unc?
I'm saying.
Yeah,
Yes, I know. I don't know him.
Duke used to live up there next door to me.
Yeah.
And my Harley got stolen one time. So I got another one. I've had 19 of them. Oh, yeah, I still ride them. I just got one. Anyway, Duke says it was orange and black. It was the Harley colors. Duke told me when I brought it in there, he says, I'm gonna ride in that thing someday. But I'll tell you what. So I kept asking him. Pretty soon he says, well, maybe next week we'll do it. Okay. And it was wanted to go up to Unc's. Guess what for? They had a barrel too.
You had a barrel.
It was some of the most potent stuff I ever drank, and it tasted, it was so good. I just couldn't stop drinking it. And he must have had 3 or 4 steelhead there that was all smoked up. And oh, gee, crazy. Wanted me to go to sleep on the couch that night. I didn't do it, but you know.
I'm gonna go home and watch the rest of the ballgame.